That wasn't a highlight. That's the new win condition. Guys, this is a top tier Abyss mode deck, but it is based around the new 9-cost Lifestealer, which, as you can see, transforms all followers on the field into copies of Skeleton, and you can then Evo to kill off the skeletons and heal. I'm going to be showing you how to pilot in this deck, jumping in as we go, starting game one. Let's go. So one of the nice things about playing Mode Abyss is you always feel like you've just got value for days, right? And obviously, for those who don't know, what we want to be doing is trying to trigger as many modes as early as possible and getting Shamnacha on the board. So that is one of our early objectives. And of course, we're playing against Rune, so we just need to make sure that we control particularly any of his early 2-drops. Speaking of which, here comes the first one. So we draw the bats, and it's really important to get the wing bats down. This is an Evo mode version, and what we're doing here is playing Fidel in the 7th slot, and that allows us to get heal back later in the game, as well as evolving both bats to give us up to 6 heal. So the castles are really key in the early mulligan, guys. I would be looking for these pretty much every game. They allow you to essentially double mode for only a cost of essentially 3, right? 2 to play it and then an extra 1 to engage it. And so you can see in the bottom left there, our Shamnacha is already growing quite strong. And also the Devotee of Entwining is a really good Evo target because it can build quite a large unit, as you can see here. I could potentially make this cost 8. But if he's got the 4-drop, then there's not really any point because it would do 4 damage. And there it is, the Edelweiss does the 4 damage. So that's why we didn't buff it. But you just kind of need to know what you're playing against. Either way, though, we are already up to 6 and it's turn 5. So we're going to keep that going with the Shamnacha. And we're actually going to, not Shamnacha, sorry, the Supplicant. And we're going to deal 3 damage. And then we're going to Evo it. And it can basically repeat its fanfare. And so now we're already up to 8. Which is crazy, right? And we're going into turn 6. Now, down comes Norman, and one of the, there's a few options for things we can do here. Because we proactively Evo'd, by the way, you know, he can't super Evo, so the Norman trades, so you know he's going to be kind of low health. And therefore, we can just finish this off with Devotee. We also have things like the Reaper there if we needed to kill the big unit. But this Devotee player, we are spending a super Evo, which is, you know, it's not ideal, but it does mean that we can get Shamnacha down here, and we're only on 6 player points. So this is like one of the earlier Shamnachas you'll see. You want to be aiming to get it down between 6 and 8, really. Like 9's acceptable as well, but ideally you don't want it to be coming down later than that. And this is why, and this gives us this insane value into the late game. We are playing against Rune, which is a tier 1 deck here as well. So we're going to really need that as well to be able to compete. So we've got Gran and Jita. And because it has met its Skybound art, we can basically draw and get the attack off. So we draw with one, we do damage with the other. And yeah, we're looking good. Now, the only issue is, and I've not done this brilliantly, to be honest, because I've been so aggressive with the mode, I've actually overdrawn slightly here. So we are going to mill a card, which is something you need to watch out for. And we do actually lose a Congregant, which is pretty good as well. Like a pretty good card. Not good that we milled it. Down comes Fidel. And remember, at the end of the turn, Fidel does sort of 2 damage as well, right? So you don't even have to clear units off. Now, down comes Lilanthem. And this is what we have the Lifestealer for in this matchup, guys, right? Previously, this matchup was very hard once Lilanthem hit the board because we couldn't really deal with it effectively. But this is where Lifestealer can really shine, right? Transform is a very powerful ability because all of those last chance, last words abilities just don't happen. So it's very, very powerful. And we didn't even need to Super Evo. We just needed to transfer Fit Form. Now, Sandolphin is active for our opponent, so that's pretty scary. We're already down to 9 damage. So we're going to use the Jinsetsu. And because we've obviously used Shamnacha, we get both mode abilities. So for those who don't know, you get an extra mode ability. Veterans, you'll know that really well. And veteran players, you know, you'll know that this is kind of like the line of play, right? The Genjutsu into the late game. But what we're adding now with Blossoming Fate is the ability to take Lifestealer and deal with situations that we couldn't previously deal with. Lifestealer also, again, if we can get multiple skeletons and we use an Evo or a Super Evo, gives us heal, similarly to the way Jinsetsu gives us a bit of heal. So it can be used tactically in that situation as well, right? So the Chaos Cyclones are actually like pretty decent later in the game because they often bring back Shamnacha, and especially when you've got a Super Evo point left, you can do some tricksy things like using Shamnacha as hard removal and taking a really impressive piece from your opponent and putting it into your deck, for example, an enemy Jinsetsu if you were in the mirror match. But I decide that like the way I'm going to lose this is in beating us down with a Sandolphin, so I spend that last Super Evo on health. Because we've got the double mode off, you don't need to rely anymore on Evos and Super Evos to kind of outvalue your opponent. And so we're just trying to like stay healthy, grind him down, make sure that Sandolphin's not within burst range. And that's kind of the idea, really. And our opponent really realizes he's not going to win this war of attrition and gives up. GG. Okay, guys, so here's the deck. There's the QR code if you would like to grab it. Hope that seeing it with the gameplay kind of like helped a little bit more than me just talking at you. If you enjoyed that, then of course hit that like and consider subscribing to the channel. Let's jump into the deck itself. So card for card, we do have the Reaper's Deathlash. This is a really important card because it gives us the hard removal. We can play it on the little pings like the Winged Serpent or a Gilnelis after we've done our thing. But also we can also play it on Super Evo'd units so our own unit doesn't die. Very important. Hard removal, particularly when you're playing against things like Wilness and these big units now that we're seeing in Haven as well. Now, as I said, there's quite a few ways you can build Mode Abyss, but this is an Evo mode, so we are running the Winged Servants and the 3 copies of Fidel. You want to basically time Fidel so that you do get the 6, the 6 heal where possible, and also don't forget Fidel's ability to do -2/-2. That can help you clear off units that have up to 5 health. Now we are looking for those early units. As you saw, we've got 2 Chaos Cyclones, 3 copies of Castle Entwining, and then we have the 3 copies of Devotee and the 3 copies of Supplicant of Entwining as well. We also have the Screaming Loathing. These are really good control tools. You can just basically you get to select 2 modes, so you can deal 4 damage and draw a 3 cost spell, essentially replacing itself. And once you've kept an eye on how many you've used, once you've used 2, the 3rd time you do it, you can either recover a player point or draw a follower. So that's how you basically cycle through your mode in the early game. Don't be scared to use, like, throw out 1 Congregant with Rush, for example, in the mid game, just to bridge the gap. And even a Granangita that's unevolved to help out as well. That can be done. Then as we get into the late game, as you saw in the games, we've got 2 copies of Belial giving us an alt win con, but we don't have to use it, but it's there. It's also particularly good in the mirror match. And then we've got the R&Vs and the Fidels as well to as we said, to heal, and the R&Vs are there to try and beat down our opponent with the storm units, or 3/5/5 bodies with 2 of them having rush is really great at taking back the board. You saw with the Jinsetsu what that can do. And the Lifestealer, again, you can either choose to just transform key cards like you saw, like you obviously saw against Lilanthem from Rune. I think that is a massive difference in that mirror match now. And of course, don't forget, if you save your Evo points, you can use this for heal as well. So that's the deck, guys. Hope you like that one. What we're going to do now is just take this for one more pilot, and let's get into the second game now. Like and subscribe, and let's go. All right, so next up we have got Dragoncraft. And once again, we have the Winged Serpent into Devotee and Supplicant, so we're going to keep that hand. It's pretty nice. Now, we are missing the castle this time, which is a little bit of a shame, but the Devotee and the Supplicants are really good early game units for mode, in particular because they're what I call double mode activators, right? With an evolution point, you can trigger them twice. Now, our opponent is going to be slow on board because he's ramping, so Dragon Sign played. So next turn, he's going to be at 5 player points already. So I don't want to sit around and sort of do nothing, but I haven't got an Evo. The best I can do is just play a 3/3 out. Sadly, he is able to play a 5-drop ahead of us, but he can't Evo yet, right? So he would have had a nice clear. So instead what we're actually going to do is we're going to devotee. And this is the problem when you leave devotee on the board, by the way, is that you can just kind of run away. And we're actually switching into an aggressive play line here with Dragoncraft. And this kind of just shows the flexibility of the deck as well. Like, you don't have to play long, grindy matchups, right? If you get that early start, and of course he couldn't remove the devotee, the proactive devotee that we played down because he didn't have an evo point, you can then just evo this thing up and go face for a heck of a lot of damage. Now, Modibus doesn't have a ton of kind of like burst, so even though we've got him down to 9, the game's by no means over. Because after I evoed this bat and to try and continue to push the issue, we don't really have too much, right? We have like R and Vs that can do storm damage, but we're not running Odins in this version, so we don't have too many ways to close the game out. And also he plays Neptune, so getting himself into a healing position. Every time a Megalorca comes down now, it heals, and I kind of realize I just need to like settle down a little bit now because I'm probably going to struggle to find that finish. So this is a bit of an awkward turn, actually. So I decide in the end to devotee and actually Dragoncraft and go ahead and super evo the devotee. So I don't know if I made the best choice in that turn, to be honest. I found it slightly awkward, like trying to figure out the best way to do it without using the super evo. Super evo coming in from our opponent, but this is where Belial is fantastic in this deck. So you'll often use Belial not just for the finisher, but for the 10 AoE. Like I've said before, I think Belial's excellent just for that, to be honest. And so often it will actually be the second one that we would look to use for the win con should we reach that stage of the game. So we're going to play out the castle here and draw, and then we're going to play out the winged serpent, and then that gives us a target for the Reaper's Deathlash, so we can kill this easily. Just a nice little 1/1 token. And we're going to draw again, and we find this Chaos Cyclone, so we can draw again, and that gets us the 10 on the Shamnacha token. So next turn we can go ahead and Shamnacha. Now, he does play a Genesis Dragon, putting us immediately down to 10 health. So I'm a little bit nervous here. We need to heal, but obviously that's a nice target for us too. So this is what I meant about Shamnacha proactive. Now I do make a little bit of a misplay here, I think. We've got the double bat, and I heal up to 13 in case he's got... I was always going to Shamnacha this, but obviously if he had a second one, he's still got a super evo point, so he could do 12 damage to us. So that's why I attacked with one bat. But on reflection, I should have just attacked with both bats just to get the heal. I'd rather have the extra heal than the body on board. So a small mistake by me, but I mean, I did get out of the lethal range as planned. I just could have got more heals. So let me know what you think in the comments to that play. But I think personally that was a bit of a misplay, to be honest. Anyway, we're out of range of the second Genesis, so that's good. And we've now got a Genesis in our own back pocket. Look how he's got all the way back up to 15 health. Remember, he was down to 5 at one point, so really showing the power of Megalorcas now. But we are both at 10, so Gilnelise obviously giving us that sweetness of veracity. And so all of a sudden, we've got, you know, sweetness of veracity, RV, Genesis Dragon, and now we suddenly are threatening quite a bit of reach. He's still got super evo points, so of course he's still threatening quite a bit of reach as well. We've already seen one Genesis Dragon, so we're pretty sure he runs another. Now down comes the Willness, and of course with Intimidate, we need to really think about how we get rid of this. So we decide this is the turn for Veracity, and then the Supplicant, now that we've played Shamnacha, can both finish off the Willness and heal for 2 as well, right? So a pretty nice way of dealing with that Willness. What will he spend that final super evo on? He's down to 3 cards, and again, like the ability for this deck to just grind our opponents out. And there is the Jinsetsu. So always feel so much more comfortable when you find this guy in the late game, right? Giving you a brilliant board, wards, and the heal is just phenomenal. Definitely one of my favorite cards in the game, one of the best cards in the game, I think. So he does have the White Frost, which is really cool, combining that with a 0 costed AoE. So he still preserves his super evo. Here we're going to rule now. And what we can do here is use the castle to actually buff the units before we go with the Wings of Desire. So we can kind of see which one it hits. We've got a second one as well. So we potentially get one of these up to 7/7. But unlucky, it hits the other one, so we get 2 6s. So we're just going to Wings of Desire and put that down to 6, because we know that we've got that Genesis Dragon this turn. He should know that as well, right? Because he knows we stole it. And therefore, he puts up a ward. And I think this is going to be his final Super Evo. And there it is. Now, of course, you've got like things like Lifestealer, but we do find R and V, so we can basically get both of the options. This is the other cool thing, right, with this deck, is that you can get both of the R and V options, so you can actually play out the bodies, and then you can save the Wings of Desire, and you can basically do a 1-turn kill the next R and V that you play, or the third R and V that you play. You can basically do quite a lot of burst damage. So there you go, GG. What do you guys think to the new Lifestealer card? Personally, I think that this is a nice surprise, actually, in this expansion. Seems really, really good. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel for lots more Shadowverse content. I really appreciate all the help and support, and it really helps the channel to grow. And if you did enjoy this, then check out this video next.